Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. As we do towards the end of a patch cycle, I love to have guests on from the Star Citizen community to talk about the game or whatever. I wasn't sure what kind of title we were going to have today because there's nothing too specific that me and our guest, SpaceTomato, will be talking about. So I just said state of the game with SpaceTomato. So I think it's like general enough that we can talk about whatever. So without further ado, we'll jump right into it with Mr. SpaceTomato. So hello, welcome to the podcast. First time on, and it should have been earlier probably. I wish I started interacting with you more probably years ago.
It's
but yeah,
I mean, it's like it's hard, dude. Everybody's got different schedules. Everyone's in different places. Like we were on
was it
we were on
Astro
Dig
Park?
That show.
Digs that.
No,
Dig
we were
that
on
show.
we were on
yeah.
the show with Dig That earlier this year, and like we had great talks, and we both hit it off, and we were like, yeah, we want to meet up and talk, but like there's just so much going on that it's hard.
I want to come on your podcast too, but I don't know like what your schedule is for it. But
yeah, no, I've been meaning to get in touch with you about that.
Yeah, I'm in whenever. Now, before we start anything, there might be a reason why we haven't interacted before. Did you know that I hate tomatoes?
Ooh.
More than anything.
You know what's funny about that? I don't really like tomatoes that much either.
Oh, okay. So, okay, where does the name come from then?
You know what? It's a funny question because people keep asking me that, and it's like, I used to have a Reddit name that had the word tomato in it. Okay. I don't know why I picked that. That was a thing, and then I just went from there into SpaceTomato because I felt like it was just a really good fit. Like tomatoes are universal, and nobody's not gonna know. What I am. I'm a fruit in space, you know? So I just kind of stuck with it.
It worked. I mean, it rolls off the tongue. It works. I mean, I can't judge anyone's names because I've had previous names that were absolutely horrendous. So there's no judge. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, so I've had some horrible names. So I'm definitely not judging there. I guess that we'll roll right into, how did you find Star Citizen? When did you back? Why did you back? I think is always something I like to ask people.
To be quite honest, I don't remember how I found Star Citizen. Mm-hmm. It was in I think it was maybe beginning of 2014.
Yep.
Yeah, I was in college at the time, and I don't know. I was playing probably like, sheesh, what was I playing around then? That would have been like Mass Effect 3. I was playing back through multiple times, and I was into space games, but I had never been into space games, if you get what I mean. Like,
sure.
I was a console player. I was full on obsessed with Halo. I was playing games, like I said, like Mass Effect. I was looking for different RPGs. I was playing Prey, like all of these space experiences I wanted to get. I had never gotten to do before because I was stuck on consoles. I didn't get into PC gaming until I found Star Citizen. So all this time I was looking for something that would be good, that would scratch that itch. And eventually I started to look towards PC gaming because I was in college. I had to build a good PC for like my studies and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I guess I just stumbled across Star Citizen somehow. And like, I saw ship commercials and the 325A. I was like, hey, that looks like it goes pretty fast.
So many people, I think, were hyped about that. And what's crazy is we saw just this week the tractor beam on that ship for 325A. No, that's the 315. But yeah, I'm thinking I guess that finally completes that lineup then.
Yeah, it's just that whole model. Like I think I just had somebody on my podcast and they were like, yeah, it was the 325A.
Yeah.
It's just that model of ship, and the commercial they did for it was just, I remember this one distinct scene of the ship flying like over clouds and like this kind of yellow overcast looking scene, and just like, it's so old. It's like 8 years old and I still remember that like it's nothing.
I think it's the ship that closely resembles either a jet plane or and a car at the same time. I think it's the thing that closely relates to what we have in real life, and I think that's why a lot of people were drawn to that in particular.
Yeah. All they needed was like the the fold downstairs kind of
Yep.
thing that like pops out to, yeah, that's all it needed, and it would have been just like one of those executive level Lear jets right now.
Oh yeah. I mean, and then they did that with the 100, which is like, I was
Right.
using that
Yeah.
all day today. It's very cool.
I love that ship. I love
Yeah.
that ship. So yeah, it was kind of, I wasn't the wing commander group. I
Yep.
didn't play freelancer. I still haven't gotten to go back and play them. I never played MMOs, Star Wars Galaxies, Ultima Online. Like I hear a lot of these like the places people come from to this game.
Yep.
But I fall into that group of people who is just like this is their first step into MMOs or any of that kind of stuff.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's I'm the Ultima Online, and I never
Yeah.
played Star Wars Galaxies, unfortunately. I wish I did,
Okay.
but because a lot of
It
people said
it's
what I like about the things that I loved that drew me to Star Citizen were in those games
yeah.
originally. But yeah,
I get that. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And then I guess I don't know. Is there? I want to talk about the Raft because we had a little we had a little like back and forth on Twitter this week or last week about it.
Yeah. Some
That
Twitter drama.
not drama. I just found it super
No, no.
interesting because I guess I would preface you as more of a glass half full type person while I'm more of a glass half empty type person, but I also find you to be incredibly reasonable. I watched your reaction to the ISC about the new mining updates, and you and I had the exact same feelings. And
Yeah.
it caught me by surprise because I think you just have a more positive outlook on life or whatever than I do. So we seem like opposites, but we're not. And
I
then,
think
yeah,
I, I think I have people have said that I've been too positive, and I think that I probably just put that in my videos a lot because my streams tend to be for anybody who comes and watches me live, my streams tend to be a little more on the negative side, the critical side.
well, yeah,
So
when you're actually having to play the game, you're gonna run into the issues, and issues
yeah,
aren't fun to deal with. Like it just is
yeah,
what it is. And I think when I post a YouTube video, it's a lot easier to take a sit back, and go, yeah, this is good, or I like this. But then when you're
hmm
in the middle of the current experience, it's hard to like a lot of the stuff because a lot of the stuff isn't finished,
good.
or good, you know,
Yeah,
like at all. So it's just, of course, it's not going to be that positive. And I guess most of my
yeah,
content
yeah,
is my Twitch streams, so I come off as more negative than your average. But
yeah,
I want to talk about the Raft in particular. I thought you had a really good point.
yeah.
I agree with your point, first off, but
Okay.
you said that you didn't want them to put the Raft out until the cargo refactor was done. And instead of putting words in your mouth, I'll kind of let you take the reins here on why you felt that way
hmm
and specifically what CIG said to make you feel that way.
Yeah. Well, it was I mean, I had linked the video to you, so
Yes,
you
and I
had
watched
seen
it.
it, and I probably should have linked it in my original tweet.
Yep.
I didn't. I should have expected that the tweet would get a lot of attention. I kind of was just like, I saw it and I typed it out, and I was like, send, and then I thought about it, and I was like, I should have put the thing that I'm trying to explain here.
Yeah.
But yeah, for everybody else, there was a time. What was it? I think it was February, maybe, of this year, where we had an Inside Star Citizen, I believe it was. No. I'm sorry, it was Star Citizen Live,
Hmm.
and one of the developers was on camera saying, "We don't want to put out ships with dead systems anymore. So, like, if you get a mining ship, it's going to have mining on it. If you get an exploration ship, it's going to have exploration."
Yep.
And I was just of the mind of like that. I've always started in making content for Star Citizen because like I kept seeing wrong information
Yeah.
or misinterpreted information. The
Sure.
first videos I started to do were like retrospectives that were like, hey, let's give a perspective of what were they doing a year ago? What are they doing now? Are they actually making progress?
Hmm.
And I've always wanted to keep that as part of my content. So when I started to depend more on what they were saying, I realized I was like, I want to make sure that I'm either sending out the messages that they want to be sent out
Yeah.
or holding them accountable when they don't do what their messages are saying. So
Fair.
that
Yeah.
was something I really wanted to stick to on them.
Yeah.
stick on to them. That and the backpack one are like the two big ones this year that I'm like, you guys have to do this. And so far, I feel like the 400i was kind of a kick to that statement, putting out an exploration ship with a table that doesn't work. And then the Raft was I feel like a more obvious. Um, I don't want to say like a breach. Like I don't want to make a big deal out of it, but I do think
It's
that it
not that big
should
of a
be
deal.
noted. It should be noted, especially when it comes to critics,
Yeah.
because we're the ones that have to deal with all of their crap at some point. So I rather just stop it while it's here.
Yeah.
And
And I
yeah,
think that like you and I come from a very similar point of view as far as that stuff goes. I think my delivery might not be the best way is all it is, and so people get rubbed the wrong way by it. But I feel exactly the same way as you as I hate seeing them give ammo to their critics.
yeah,
And it's just like I just like kind of throw my hands up sometimes. But how I felt about the Raft in particular, which is where I disagree with you, is that
hmm,
the cargo ship can run cargo. It just doesn't
sure,
run cargo the way that we all would like it to, right? Where
yeah,
where
yeah,
it's the cargo rework, of course. So I had less of
hmm,
an issue with that than I have an issue with things like the 400i or I don't know, the reclaimer, right? Those are
yeah.
obvious like breaches of just ridiculousness, like hundreds of dollars of a player giving you money and then the return is essentially just a little bit more than the
Yeah,
picture that you paid for originally,
that
you know?
reclaimer is a long term
Yeah.
reward for sure.
A long term, it's a stretch goal.
Yeah, that's a rough one, and
Yeah.
you know it's you're gonna obviously the vulture's gonna come in and have salvaging beforehand,
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
not gonna be fun for reclaimer owners. And the 400i was a sucky one. It was just that like all of the marketing was like, look at the Raft, it's so fast at picking stuff up, like all the images are showing the
Yep.
crane and all this stuff, and you're like, oh, this is sick, it's in the game already, heck yeah. And you
Yep.
go and get it, and there's just like these boxes.
And it
I
flies
can't even put stuff
incredibly
in them.
slow. And it was just like
We
I
were
was just
just,
like this. Okay, I am a huge Argo fan, and I'm a
mhm.
huge Argo fan because of their interior more than anything. Like, I think back to you've seen The Expanse, right?
Yeah,
So do you remember
yeah.
the?
I haven't finished season 5 though.
I'm just
So
talking about
careful.
season one. We're good.
Okay,
Just talking
we
about
could do
season one.
that.
The
Yeah.
very beginning when they're in the cargo ship that they're working on,
Hmm.
and they're just kind of like they just live on it.
Yeah.
And that's very much what the Argo interiors give me vibes of. It's just like you can live on this, and it feels very like the Expanse interiors, where these are these people's homes, and
Yeah.
they're small but they're livable.
It feels
And
homey.
yeah, and I was like super excited for the ship when I saw it, and then I was using it, and I'm like, all right, I need to wait for the cargo refactor because I can't see how 96 SEU has any value at all. So we'll have to see what they do
Got
with
to get that
that.
high value cargo.
Yeah, they have to they have to get missions. They have so many things to do to make those kind of mid-range, not like massive cargo ships have value, and I'm excited for
Yeah.
whenever that happens. But
Yeah. Yeah. Same here.
yeah, I want to take a little bit of a turn here because something that
Sure.
it interests me so much about you
Hmm.
is not to blow smoke up your butt or whatever, but I think you're by far the best Star Citizen YouTuber that covers the project I've seen. I think you have
It's a lot of smoke, man.
yeah, I know. I'm sorry, but like, just no lie. That's really why I wanted to talk to you. And I think you have this really awesome perspective on content creation and the platforms in which you choose. And you're very vocal about it on Twitter about your feelings about YouTube and everything. And I couldn't agree more. It's I just find it interesting. And again, I'll do the same thing that we did before. I'll kind of give you the floor
Hmm.
and just I want to talk to you a little bit about creating content. This might not be I apologize for people that are watching. This might not be something that interests you necessarily, but there might be some aspiring content creators in the chat or watching on YouTube later, and I think SpaceTomato has like an amazing perspective, and
Thank you.
yeah, it's very important if you're considering getting into content creation at some point. And I wish I understood this sooner, because it just really only came to my mind in the last like maybe year or two. But yeah, just like your feelings about YouTube over Twitch, or YouTube and Twitch, things like that.
Yeah. I think, to be honest, like I would probably be interested in this if I wasn't doing content after I started to understand what was going on. Cause it's you kind of look at the field of like Twitch and YouTube and Facebook is doing stuff now, and it doesn't really look like much is going on, but in reality, like these companies are setting up for a really long-term futures. At least YouTube is. And
Yes.
that's kind of part of why I always stand for YouTube. I obviously YouTube is Google. Google is Google. Their motto is literally "Don't be evil." Not the best company in the world.
Yeah.
But one thing that's super distinct between Google and Twitch, or YouTube and Twitch rather, that I think is probably one of the biggest reasons why I'll always pick them over Twitch is that like it feels like they are so much more focused on growing their platform using the people who work on the platform rather than growing the platform by baiting more people onto the platform, which
Yeah.
is like the most obvious sign of this was like recently on Twitch, they announced this new feature where they were like, hey, you know what? You can boost
Oh
your
my
way
God.
up the ranks and you can get higher viewership and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, so first you're telling me I have to pay for impressions, which don't guarantee any sort of return whatsoever.
No.
You're paying to get put up higher on a list that doesn't guarantee anything. And then on top of that, they're not even telling streamers to pay for it. They're telling viewers to pay for it.
Yep.
That felt like the most predatory way they could have done it to get streamers to reach out to their viewers and say, hey, pay for me.
Okay. So you were in college in 2014. So you might be a little bit young for this one. Are you familiar with online poker and when everything fell apart in the United States? It was called Black Friday.
I got a whiff of it. I never really fully understood. Yeah.
So I have I got vibes from this about the Odyssey actually, and I got vibes from this about Twitch as well. Is a company called Full Tilt Poker was basically laundering, like doing some really weird stuff financially, on top of already breaking the United States laws that had come into place, I think in like 2005. So all online gambling was illegal in the United States, but they were taking payment process from other countries, and it was a mess. Yeah. So basically, we were giving our money to a third party. Third party was putting the money on the website, and then we would gamble with it. And what Full Tilt Poker started doing, which is now what all casinos do, it's crazy now. They set this crazy precedent, but they had no money because when we gave them money, the money, like the United States was blocking the money from coming in, but they were allowing us to gamble with it. So in hopes that one day they would find a payment processor that can rip the money out of our bank account and finally complete the transaction. It's totally messy. And what they were doing was they were allowing us to buy into tournaments 3 or 4 times instead of just once. A tournament is like buying a single lottery ticket, and the guy at the top wins a lot of money, basically. And when they were allowing people to buy in multiple times, it was like, whoa, this feels like a money grab. Twitch feels like they're grabbing as much money as they possibly can instead of building a platform that is as good as it possibly could be.
Right.
And I feel like the same way. It was a crazy thing when I saw that. Whereas YouTube, you look at them and they're not the best, but they're also trying to be the best by making the best platform. And like the whole thing about buying impressions, like what is even the value of impressions on Twitch? Like we know what the value of impressions are on YouTube, but they're actually valuable. And on Twitch, they have no value, you know?
The Twitch impressions are, I'm sure you know, it's something like 3 out of every 10 people who step into a stream and get hit with an ad leave immediately.
Yeah.
So like, why are you're paying for 7/10 of what you're actually paying for automatically? Because you're paying Twitch for this opportunity to boost yourself, but at the same time, Twitch is just going to front load them with an ad.
Exactly. It's
Yeah,
insane.
it's crazy.
It's
So
absolutely insane.
I think the biggest key, the biggest like thing that tells me that Twitch does not have the long term, at least, vision that YouTube does is that, well, first, I mean, it's YouTube, right? It's not going anywhere. But also, YouTube has its own content. Facebook has its own content. Facebook could like do anything it wants. It has a huge group of people to choose from. YouTube has a huge group of people to choose from. It's the second most popular website on the planet. Twitch is like this relatively small. I mean, it's not like a niche product or anything. It's not like it's out there out of nowhere, but like it's relatively small compared to these other two, and they're not adding the things that those two have. Like you don't have a reason to stay on Twitch once the person you like goes offline. If you like somebody who streams on YouTube and you haven't gotten enough of their stuff, you just go onto their profile and watch more stuff. Like YouTube is continuing to invest in making that a thing. And now they're going to allow you to record clips on a YouTube video, which you can already do, save those clips and share them just like on Twitch, but also have YouTube videos made of those clips that sit right there on your profile and automatically turn those clips into shorts that can be shared on mobile phones. The whole vertical is right there in one place. And Twitch is just like, oh, you can pay for impressions.
Yeah. Like, I think there's this value to Twitch where it's such a weird thing, but like the chat interaction, emotes, it's sad, but Twitch's toxicity in Twitch chat is literally, it's one of its highest selling points. And it's like one of the only things, like toxicity is the wrong word, but just like the absolute ridiculousness of Twitch chat is what the culture of Twitch is so insane. But it can only be on Twitch. Yeah. And that's like one of the only things. Yeah, like emotes and all the stupid stuff is what makes Twitch awesome. And I know there's like better Twitch TV that's going to YouTube and stuff like that, but it won't be the same necessarily. Yeah. And I love Twitch for that, but that's it. Like I really think like the biggest value in YouTube is if you're going to make any sort of content ever, the discoverability on YouTube is 1,000,000 times better. And if you want to find any sort of viewership above like 2 viewers, like it makes sense to make YouTube content, whether it's streams or YouTube videos, to just get found. And if you want to stream on Twitch, you can, but it's fine. It's seeming that like YouTube is just gonna have more value long term.
And that's not to say that Twitch is going anywhere. Like you said, Twitch is, I mean, I love Twitch too. I'm always going to be somebody who goes on Twitch to watch other people because the chat experience is like no other. YouTube's chat experience freaking sucks. Yeah. It's so god awful. The fact that you can't make a stream full screen and then also have chat on the side is like, it's like they never watched a live stream. Yeah. Like YouTube has its problems for sure. Yeah.
But those can be resolved.
Yeah. They're not
Twitch's
fundamental.
Problems aren't easy to resolve. Yeah. It's just a live stream platform, you know? But I don't know, like, yeah. I are you considering just going straight YouTube?
Yeah. I'm looking at it. It's always been my goal was always to I started on YouTube, and then after about a year I started to look into Twitch more. But my goal was always to figure out which one I wanted to go with long term. And like I was thinking that Twitch was eventually going to add a feature where I could save videos or at least edit my streams together to make videos or something. Yeah. But that didn't happen. And like at some point I was like, I've got to make this call. Yeah. And you know, it's funny actually. The first reason I made that call, and this is a reason I think this is why I like to support people off of Twitch. Twitch takes 50% of the money you make. And I was like, we're sleeping on the floor. We don't even have a freaking home. Like I can't just be giving away 50% of the money that I make because Twitch doesn't want to play like the rest of the industry standard. Nobody else takes that much money. So that was actually a big part too. And I think paying attention to where your money is going when you're supporting somebody you like is a good thing to do.
Yeah. It's crazy. And then I guess the final thing on YouTube is And Twitch. I think I want to say this because this was I thought it was really interesting. Is Pokimane said it of all people, and I thought it was actually genius. Was no person who has made the move to YouTube, and I'm not familiar with anybody that has
Hmm.
blown up live streaming on YouTube yet. Everybody blows up on Twitch and makes the move to YouTube
Yeah.
because I think they know it's a better long-term move, or money, or whatever reasons they have. Those are their reasons. I thought Ludwig's move was the most telling because he was the most open about it, and I thought that was really
Hmm.
interesting
Yeah.
about how Twitch
He's
just
also
didn't care.
like, he was like the new guy too.
Yeah,
He's only really been around for a little while.
yeah, like the last year or two is his blow-up period,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all these other guys were old guys. Um,
Yeah. I think
yeah,
she has a point that Twitch is the best place to stream. It
yeah,
is like, it's not, there's no question about it.
it's not the best place to
But a lot
grow.
of, yeah, a lot of people are looking for more than just streaming. And I would say like if all you wanted to do was stream, then Twitch is a no-brainer. But
Yep.
like if you did want to create something that can grow and that can like live while you're not sitting in front of a computer, then YouTube's a good choice.
Yeah, but also the reason Ludwig blew up was because of his YouTube. They took his
Right.
Twitch, put it on YouTube, and then all those people started coming to Twitch live. Like it's just
Yeah.
YouTube is always going to be part of your content. So that's why I wanted to share that a little bit with you guys. Is I think SpaceTomato is like very understanding of that subject, and
Always ranting about it.
yes, and I every time I see your tweets about that, I'm just like, he's right, he's absolutely right. So yeah, moving on, I want to talk about just like some recent events. What do you think about the Odyssey?
Caused a lot of hubbub, that's for
It's
sure.
expensive, but just in
It
general,
is.
for me it
I
was kind
actually
of like, whoa, a ship that can mine, refine, hold a ship, hold a vehicle, explore, has a bunch of big guns. Maybe not as much as it was like this thing can do nearly everything that's capable of being done in the game currently.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like a break the game kind of ship.
Yeah,
And that was like, I saw that and I was like, wow, that's huh.
different.
Yeah, that's a lot of ship. That's a lot of ship. And I was thinking this they're I think it kind of like it's something else that you saw with the way that they talked about Pyro.
Hmm.
Like they've expanded their scale, I feel like. Like they had the expansive scale, like the number of systems and the detail and all that stuff. But like there's some of these things that keep happening and I'm just like they're definitely looking much bigger. Like the way that they talk about Pyro makes me think that every single system that's going to come out is going to now be like this big expansion pack event thing. Like Fortnite had their new chapter.
Yep.
Maybe not something that big, but like it feels like they're getting really focused on big shifts in the game, I guess. And the Odyssey feels like one of those kinds of ships where they're like, okay, this game's going to be way bigger than we're thinking right now. Let's make this overkill ship so that by the time the rest of these ships come in, it sort of fits the pack. And then
Yeah.
you're like, what happens to all the other ships? Like
I
all
always
these
thought
other regular ships.
Yeah, I always thought when Pyro came out that they were going to be like, all right, so your quantum drives work this way because it was only one system. Now they're going to have a little bit more length. That's what I
Right.
assumed. But now I'm not so sure with this one that is like, you can mine and refine your own fuel. You'll be fine in traveling and all that stuff. So I was
Hmm.
like, oh, okay, this is interesting. So that was like a little bit of an eye opener. And then I really don't have an issue necessarily with that ship. I think it's okay. I think it all makes sense. I think we still need to wait for the Q&A to be like, can it only refine its own fuel or can it refine
Yeah.
everything? What's it going to be? Because it might be a little crazy if it can do everything.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't have too big of an issue. The only issue that I have is like, what's the next big thing? Because like, where do they go from here? Is it going
That's
to
what
be
I'm
too
saying. Yeah.
ridiculous? You know?
Yeah. Like from here on, you gotta kind of raise the standard for all the ships, which is that gonna leave other ships behind or
Yeah.
they have to balance it all eventually, but it's gonna be weird if they have to start, power creeping everything else up to keep keep whatever the word is, keeping track.
Yeah, keep up with
uh,
that specific ship, I guess. But
yeah.
it's just interesting to look at and go, we've had feature creep in this game. Like,
hmm
they kind of reined it in, and now they're making the game. And then you look at that and you're like, ah, crap. They're doing it
It kind
again.
of comes the creep kind of comes into the game in the form of like super detailed stuff.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, that was already in the game, but now we're going deeper into it.
Did you watch SEL this week?
A little bit. I think I kind of fell asleep halfway through.
That's fair. John Crew said something that I was like, oh my God.
What is that?
He went, a capital ship takes like a year or two to finish. And just
Mhm.
saying that, like, I think that was obvious, right? But at the same time, like, when he said it, I was like, holy
That's-
crap, how many capital ships have they sold? And it was just like, what's, like, okay, Banu Merchantman, capital size, probably.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Javelin, Idris, Kraken, Polaris, Odyssey, Orion. Like, what? Like, when are these things gonna finish? And then they keep going with them because it is that big IAE, like, hoorah, big funding thing. I want Star Citizen to be successful. I know that, hey, server meshing's taking a long time. It is what it is, and it's gonna take a while. They got to keep funding it. I get it. But at what point are you, like, oh man, I don't know. I don't want to say going too far. Like, I have no issue with them funding the game, but it's just like, these people might be buying this thing thinking they might get it soonish, and I don't know if they will.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it going too far necessarily, but I do have concerns. I have some serious concerns about the health of the game with the amount of very powerful ships being sold, and not even just very powerful ships, but ships in general. And that's not because, everybody who follows or covers this game is fully aware that it's not all about the ships that you buy. Obviously, you can't just go out and buy these really expensive ships and win the game, whatever win might mean to somebody.
Yeah.
But there's still going to be some effect on the game to have all of these things in the economy, especially if we're talking about, an economy that's based off of materials and shipments and ships actually being made and all this stuff. Suddenly you have thousands of ships that wouldn't have normally been in the game. What if we can sell those ships? What if suddenly people are making a lot of money where they were not expected to? Like, those are the kinds of questions that I'm not necessarily going to say, hey, this is going to ruin the game. This is going to break the game. But every time you see that we sold 1,000 more Polarises, you get that in your head. You're just like, what's actually going to end up happening with all this?
Yeah.
How is this going to figure itself out?
Sure. And then there's always that argument of, well, you can only fly one ship at a time, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, sure. So there's that. But then also just in general, I always got the vibe, and I think we can kind of transition into the paint conversation a little bit through this, is it's unfortunately been a lot of sell first and figure it out later with them when it comes to some things. And this was on SCL this week too, and it was towards the end, so you probably didn't catch it if you'd said you fell asleep. But they talked about it a little bit, where they were like, hey, and this is a very fine response. They said, we don't want to put a paint system in the game, because this was about the Comerol thing where he posted on Spectrum, got banned, and blah, blah, blah. It was like all about the hex codes and everything. So they responded to that, and I thought they responded pretty well. Like, hey, we don't want to put this hex code thing in the game because we're not exactly sure how we want to do it. And I think that that's a really very important point. And second, we want to make sure that it's like fully functional and working in the game. Like, we want to put something together in the game that is working and good. Then we'll give it to you. I'm fine with that. I'm sure you are too. And then they also mentioned, we want to make sure that there's room for the premium ones so they can sell them. I am super fine with that. I want them to sell all the cosmetics, billions of dollars of cosmetics. I don't care, because none of that stuff matters, right? I'm totally fine with that. It bothers me about the ships a little bit, because I do think, man, when I start with an Aurora, it's so fun, and I think that's being taken away from people a little bit.
Yeah.
But the paints and stuff, I'm totally cool with that. Sell billions. I don't care. It's but they contradict themselves, I thought, and it was like, they're selling $20 paint skins for big ships now, but don't have a plan for how they'll be integrated into the game. And it was
Right.
like, it's okay for you to sell these things without a plan, but it's not okay for you to put them in the game without a plan. And I was just like, oh man, come on, guys. Like, that was the one that,
Ye-
like, and it goes with everything with the game. It goes with mining, it goes with exploration, it goes with cargo. It seems like they're like, all right, we're gonna do this. We'll get together when it's time to integrate it into the game on exactly how we're gonna do it, and we'll deal with the issues as they arise and go from there. Like, mining isn't exactly how that mining dock was. It's pretty damn close, but it's not exactly how yet. Um,
Yeah.
Everything's
And
going to be a
well,
little different, so they don't like to share exactly what they want to do yet. I get that too.
yeah. And we see that with like things like the cargo decks, which
Yeah. Oof.
they can't explain how they're going to work. They got it in there, so yes, there's going to be like a cargo area that can be used, but they don't actually know how it's going to work yet. But yeah, I think I was awake during that part for whatever reason. Maybe I woke back up. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I do remember specifically. I remember that John was saying that they wanted to have the ability to have like, yes, you can get your paints, you can change the hex codes, but
Yep.
also we wanted to give you the ability to get these nicer details on your ship
Swatches, he said, or
that
something.
you could put on. He never
Yeah.
actually said ones that you could buy, ones like
Yes.
premium skins. He was always just like, other skins,
Which I don't
which
know
I thought
why.
was funny.
I don't know why they shy from that. Like, I don't find there to
Yeah,
be
you gotta
anything
sell
wrong
it.
with it.
Yeah, there's nothing. I don't. Yeah, it makes sense, and I don't really look at the store that often, so I don't know if this is how it works. But I imagine the best way for them to do it would just be like, if you have a design in all these different colors, just make all of the colors the same price. And then in the future, when they do have the hex codes, the designs are the skins and the colors can just be changed.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they sell different colors for different prices.
I don't think so.
No?
I think it's
Okay.
just based off size. But
Oh.
that's
Well,
the
yeah,
thing
okay.
that's weird now is the paint is an item. It's like a ship component. And you just
Hmm.
apply it and you take it off and you put it on. And that's obviously not what the plan is, because they have that like shop that's on Crusader that they want to do
Yeah.
this kind of stuff with.
Old
And
cousins.
yeah, and the thing that I'm like kind of frustrated with is I would love to see them just go, yeah, it's gonna be a paint that you can like you have the code for that paint or whatever, and you just go. And you can paint your ship this color, and you can paint your ship back to stock, and then you can paint your ship back to the color. But I we don't like we literally know nothing about the plan, but they're already selling, and it's just like, just give it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't
It's
know. I might
it's
be
not
ranting a
a
little bit.
no. It's there are a lot of things with this game
This is that
that
ammo I'm
are
talking
like
about.
that. Yeah,
This is
it
what I mean
is.
by the ammo. Is it's so vague of how it's going to work that it gives ammunition to people who shouldn't have it. They don't need it.
That is.
This isn't exploration. You don't need to be like, hey, we don't want to share with you exactly how it's going to work because it might change and then people get upset. It's paints, man. Like, you should have a plan for it at this point, I feel like. At least a very
Yeah,
rough plan.
it's rough because they are sitting in this sort of they're sitting in this stage where they're constantly changing things, and like you said, they're
Yep.
building things into the game that they are then figuring out how it's going to work because they get the design and the concept down, but then they have to figure out the engineering.
Yeah,
But then
implementation
also
is going to change
combining
all of
that,
it.
yeah, but then also combining that with methods of monetization suddenly gets way more serious,
Yeah.
and it's hard. Like, I have no idea the way that they have to maneuver and navigate this path of making this game is insane. It's crazy because of the scale, the scope, and just the way they're doing it.
Yeah. Like, I love the Origin sale that they did. I thought that was pretty cool. But then John was like, we couldn't scale it. And it's like, okay, that's
hmm
fine. But what's the plan going forward? Because the thing that I look at that, if I was ever to make a suggestion to them and give feedback, it would just be this: is the current system is so bad because look at when you buy specialized armors, like those Hurston security armors look amazing, right? But the pack
Yeah.
that was like $60, that's a lot of money. That's a AAA game worth of 3 armors. Whatever. People buy it if they want. I don't care. That's what I'm saying. Billions of dollars. Sell them. I don't care. The weird thing about it is you're actually buying the armor and you're not buying the ability to customize it to that color. So now with the current system of inventory, which we know is going to change slightly, but for the most part, this is what it's going to be. You're cluttering up our inventories with an insane amount of things that we don't need, where the player actually needs the ability to go out and buy the stock armor and then paint it to the color that they want, right? We don't need 500 different pieces of armor that are all cool colors. We just need the ability to utilize the customization aspect. And that's the only thing that I would change.
This is where my newbiness of MMO games comes from, because I'm curious of how other MMOs do it when you have different things that are different colors. Do they group them? Do they separate them? How does that work?
Typically, if you would go to a place and you would customize your, like, it would be, I'm going to go to this NPC and I'll paint my hair. It would typically be like, if I'm thinking of Ultima Online, these were some of the rarest things too, and were super high value, is like beard dye and hair dye. And they were like some crazy cool colors. They were a one-time use. So you would get them for like an anniversary reward or something like that. And you would hold on to that dye and never use it. And 10 years later, it was worth billions in the game because nobody had them anymore because they used them or whatever, right? So you would use one and you would save one, whatever. That's how my experiences are. I mean, Elite Dangerous...
That's an awesome way to do it.
Elite Dangerous has
pretty cool
skins and stuff, but I liked Ultima Online's way. Then there was just like regular paints that you can buy in the game that weren't as rare, I guess. And I don't know. Star Citizen can do it anyway. I don't think it needs to be a one-time use either, but
I do like that. I think even if they didn't do that, having some dyes or some paints or whatever that were one-time use would be really cool.
Yeah. Like, I think it would be sick. And then if you see that... Here's the thing about MMOs, and here's the thing that drives me nuts about Star Citizen. I want to hear your thoughts, too. This is actually something CR responded to me almost directly about, and it still hasn't happened yet, which is kind of a bummer, is you see an 890 jump in the game, right? That is one of the most prestigious ships that could possibly exist. And the problem with it is when you look at it, what is your what my reaction right now is like, oh man, that guy whipped out his credit card and bought that ship. He didn't earn it, right? So that's whatever. I said, selling the ships, you got to do it. It's no big deal. What if you had an exclusive paint skin if you earned the ship in the game? And he like responded to that in a post about paint and was like, we absolutely want to do this. He didn't like respond to me directly or anything. But through the grapevine, I know that he had seen the Reddit thread that had went up about it.
Yeah.
And they want to do that in game. And like, that's so important to MMOs. So for someone who doesn't have a lot of experience in MMOs, like one of the things that I always valued in MMOs was like, you looked at somebody and you saw their stuff and you were like, I want that, right? That is so cool. How? And then you're typing in Gen Chat or going to a forum or going to a YouTube, how do I get said thing? And then you see like how crazy hard it is or how crazy expensive it is. And that's becomes one of your goals. So like there is no winning in MMOs necessarily, but those are the type of wins that can be created for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just little silly cosmetic things sometimes.
I think I watched the episode where you talked about this last year because I distinctly remember the conversation about how like once we get into the game, when it's a final game and you're looking around at all these ships around you have no idea what those ships, like, did that person actually do the stuff that they needed to get that? Do I compliment them on their how
great
hard
of a job
they played?
have, you know?
Yeah, the dungeons that they cleared out, or do I compliment them on like the real life job that they had that earned them the ship?
Yeah.
You know, I get that, and there's like some of that sort of mystery there. There's also an exclusive sort of skin or something to denote that like you worked on that, you got that, you put in the time to get that.
Yeah.
Um, I
And
hope like I will. That's one of those things that I want there to be in the game, or I'm just probably going to lose interest.
yeah, but at the same time, I think it's totally fine to look at somebody and uh, if they have an armor that's only, or let's go with the skin because hopefully it's not an armor, or no, armors are okay too, like a subscriber armor or something, right? That
Hmm.
is exclusively sold on the website. There's nothing wrong with that either. It's like, oh, cool,
Yeah.
you supported the project in a way, and
Hmm.
there's that too. There's nothing wrong with those things. So I'm worried that people might like differentiate somebody who like paid for something over somebody who earned it, but that's in a negative way. But there's also a positive way to for that to happen as well. Like, wow, that guy really earned that, or wow, thanks for making Star Citizen literally happen. You know?
Yeah, that's kind
So
of important. Like
yeah,
people, I always say don't buy ships.
me too.
But that is because the majority of people don't need to buy ships,
Yeah,
obviously. And people are sometimes like, dude, why do you tell people not to buy ships? That funds the game. Like, well, we're still gonna buy ships. Just like new people need to kind of get into the game first, I feel like, before they start getting into that stuff. But
yeah.
yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't mean for it to come off that way at all. Um it's
You
however
didn't.
you get the ship.
Yeah.
Some people don't have the time, some people do.
Yeah. I think it's so important to get this right as soon as possible because
Yeah.
I think a lot of times when I have these conversations, I get a lot of YouTube comments because I think people just immediately come to my channel and are already have like a negative point of view about me, and they're like, "Oh, why are you telling people how to spend their money?" It's like I'm literally not. I want them to do whatever they want with them. I want Star Citizen to get it right because it's so important that they get it right because they do. We all love the game to at whatever level that we do, but what um, the other outside, much larger part of the gaming community looks at is probably not in the best light, unfortunately. You know,
Yeah.
and it's because they get a lot of that ammunition, and there's nothing wrong with cosmetics. And if you just we did it right, it'd be fine. I thought a lot of people got upset about the that Hurston armor with the tube. I saw where Jared said it'll be lootable in game. Now,
Hmm.
that doesn't mean that they weren't gonna sell it or have a custom paint or anything like it as well. It is lootable in game. It's actually really cool the way that you loot it. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but try to build as much bunker mission rep as you can on the negative side, the pirate side,
Mm,
and then you can
okay.
find it. But the idea of being able to buy things on the website and buy them in the game, I don't know. I don't.
It's a
I
hard
always lean towards
it's a
like
hard
just
one.
try to play the game, man. It's fun. It can
Yeah.
actually be fun, and building up from one ship to the next can be fun. The looting
That's
aspects
why,
of Star Citizen are so exciting for me.
to be honest, if you just completely ignore the store side, the funding side, all of that side of Star Citizen, it's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. Like that's
Yeah,
why I barely ever cover this stuff because while it is good to put pressure on some of these topics and make sure that CIG is doing the right thing, like for the most part, I just kind of want to enjoy the game, you know? Like
yeah.
I don't touch the store page when new ships come out. I don't know how much the Odyssey is. I'm not a
700,
huge fan of the shell.
600, something like that.
Okay.
But
I'm
whatever.
not a fan of the ship sale pages, so I don't like to really go and look at that stuff. I just want to get into the game. And I think like if you jump into the game and you like the play and you decide that you like it long term, then stick around for a bit and then decide to buy a ship.
Yeah. When you do play, what do you tend to do?
Whatever chat wants.
Okay.
I rarely play this game offline. Um, I used to do a lot of cargo hauling until that broke, and then I did a lot of mining till I got tired of that. Now I do combat stuff, I guess, mostly. Like I'll go out and do bounty hunting, whatever reputation is tracking. Because
Yeah.
like I want to just get a sense of progression. I don't really care what it is. I just want to do something that feels like it matters.
Have you done the delivery missions yet?
Yeah, I just started doing those
Me
this
too.
last week.
Me
Yeah.
too. I just finished I went from junior rep up to the next one, and I'm getting these missions that bring you down to bunkers. Have you done those yet?
No, I
Okay.
haven't gotten those
I
yet.
won't spoil it for you, but it's really
I
cool.
think I saw they're like you basically you have to find these crates and use the pin code or something to match them up.
No, not
Is that the
quite.
different one?
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe you're finding something different than I am, but it's
No, this was on like the patch notes.
oh, okay. Well, there's some
Yeah.
combat related in these. So delivery missions are got a little bit more dangerous.
That's exciting.
I'll leave it
Yeah,
that.
I'm super pumped that they are starting to work on the delivery missions, and then we're seeing like passenger transport missions come in, and I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that sometime within the next 17 years we get data transfer missions.
Yep.
No, honestly though, I do hope that we at least hear about data transfer by the end of next year.
Yeah.
But that's cool that they're tracking rep with the cargo stuff now.
Yeah. The more rep they put on stuff, the better. Like I haven't delivered boxes in a year or more, and I think since 311. And
Yeah.
I did it for the last couple days, and it was nice. It's relaxing, it's chill, but anytime you see a little bar go up in the game, I think it just is that much better.
That's all. Yeah, that's all I need.
Yeah,
Like,
and then
it could mean absolutely nothing. Make the bar even change a little bit of color.
yeah, but then add rewards on top of it after, and forget about it, man. Like I'm hooked. It's over.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been obsessed with Farm Sim over the last couple days, and it's just like, yeah, you just see your little, you got your money up. I got more tractors, and it's like that's all it takes. It's not
Dude,
that hard.
that game is huge. I've never acknowledged Farming Simulator before like 2 years ago when I started to meet people who play it, and now like my entire friends list went from Halo Infinite to Farming Simulator. Just it's like the weirdest crossover.
Yes.
But it's so funny how popular that game is, and you wouldn't expect.
Have you ever been to Gamescom?
No.
Okay,
No.
because I figured being like living outside of the U.S. and like being kind of close to it, that maybe you had gone. I went in 2016, and the most hype booth in the entire con was Farm Sim. Screaming and yelling. It was the loudest booth
I love it.
of all booths. It was insane.
Man.
It was absolutely insane. I was like, what is this? And
Farmers know how to party, dude.
It was wild, dude. Yeah, farmers
That is hilarious.
They know how to party. Yeah, so it was cool.
And their trailer, the trailer for that game that came out last year was like amazing. It's like, wow, this is some freaking Hollywood level animation. Well done.
I can't deal with it. It's so chill and it's so fun at the same time. So you're big into Halo, huh? I am.
Oh, yeah.
Having
I got it on
nostalgic
my arm.
moments. Oh shit, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love it's my favorite game series. I love it.
I'm having like crazy junior year of college nostalgia right now of like playing Halo.
Yeah.
Halo Infinite is so good.
It is
so good. You excited for the
gameplay?
campaign?
Ooh, I am very pumped for the campaign.
When does it
I've
come
been
out?
waiting way too long. Next Thursday, I believe.
Next Thursday. Okay. Yeah.
So,
Chat's all
like, 4
asking me, "Are you
days?
gonna play it? Are you gonna play it?" And I was like, I don't know.
Oh man, I'm so excited for that.
Nice. Yeah.
I just remembered something that I wanted to get back to that we talked about earlier.
Sure.
With Star Citizen. The press. I'd like to talk about the press a little bit because we touched briefly on this. You were saying that when things go wrong, it gives the press fuel, right? And everybody knows, we hit 400 million recently. The press had their articles come out, and I believe you probably saw. I had a little moment on Twitter. It's like I actually had found. I had found a Kotaku article before it had really gained steam, and I commented on it, and I realized that might have actually bumped it up and like put it in the Star Citizen community more, because before that the guy was like, "Hey, nobody's messaged me, nothing's here," and like I had gone through the comments and I was like, nobody's like paying attention to this. So I reached out to him and I was like, "Dude, this doesn't make sense what you're saying. Let's talk."
Yeah.
And then I realized I was like, I should have DM'd that to him, because immediately there were a bunch of other people who then came in and commented, and he closed down. He didn't want to talk. And and it annoyed me because my problem with them isn't necessarily the fact that they're putting out bad stuff. I'm I'm sure you agree with this. It's that they're not covering anything else that we need them to cover, like other bad things, like things that we actually have to put pressure on CIG for in
Yes.
the public space to get
It's
some
just
change.
400 million, no game. That's it. That's
Yeah.
all they got. And it's
And
like
it's like,
there is literally something you can play. It doesn't look like 400 million though.
yeah.
But it is
Oh, yeah.
there's something there, you know?
It happened with the CitizenCon 2017, I think it was. The charging people to watch.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure that got overturned because of the press. Like the community was going crazy about that for a little while, and then the press caught the story, and that flipped pretty quickly. I feel like if we want to be able to do that when we need to, we should try and get at least some of the press on our side in some way.
Squadron 42
Help them
also.
to see. Yeah.
Remember the Squadron 42 update? All that came out of
In 2016.
No, I think it was supposed to be 2018 maybe. Remember like there was a time
yeah.
where it was like Squadron 42 should be going to beta, and then
Yeah.
the Reddit threads nonstop, memes, all this stuff, and then all of a sudden I think the press picked it up, and then bang, there was like we're going to update you, new roadmap, blah, 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 like all this stuff started changing.
Didn't that happen like a year and a half
Maybe
ago?
it was last year. I don't know.
Something like that. Yeah.
I mean,
when it was supposed to go to beta like last summer, I think, and then
yeah.
or is that this summer? I don't know. Like the years are gone.
Well,
now.
with COVID and everything, like this everything was condensed. Like 3 years was 1 year. It feels like.
Yeah. I can't even decipher. But it is so annoying.
Last year.
Like,
Okay.
there are like press people who will be like, "What is this Star Citizen game? Somebody tell me about this. Would you buy this 400 million game?" And I'll message them, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'll show you. Like, I'll give you a heads up. I'll put you in touch with somebody. Like, let's open a dialogue here."
Yeah.
Just never happens.
No, because they don't want it to happen. There's like this big like conspiracy theory that like the EAs and Bethesdas or whatever of the world are out there trying to keep this game down because it's breaking the mold and all this stuff. I don't know if I necessarily buy that, but they also there's so many people who don't want to see this game succeed for whatever reasons, you know? And it's just like,
I really
why wouldn't you want it to succeed?
I want to dig deep into that.
Yeah.
I want to like understand, is this a thing? Is there actually any sort of conspiracy? I don't believe there is. Like, I really don't think that there's like some big companies that are like paying the press to make sure that this game doesn't do as well as their game. Mm-hmm. But I would like to know, like, is there an industry standard bias against this game? Is it just because of the way that the game's being developed, or is there more to it?
Yeah,
that's a very interesting topic.
Yeah, I mean, it would be really hard to find out, but it could be. It really could be, because it is. I mean, it breaks the mold in so many ways. I laugh all the time because there's lots of developers that pop in the chat sometimes, and some of them used to work there, and it's just like the ass backwards way that they've gone about developing Star Citizen so far is very interesting. And so there's definitely that, but I think the general like not churning out like the next Call of Duty kind of game is a good thing. I think we all think that that's generally a good thing. You know, I played I'm a huge hockey fan. I'm going to play hockey today, and I'm loved the NHL series games from EA, but guess what? I didn't have a console for a lot of years, and I bought a console to play it, and it was the same game that I played in like college, and it was just like, dude, come on, you know?
It's
so like, nothing
oh my
had
gosh.
changed.
Yeah, football has been, or soccer has been my life since I can remember.
Yeah.
Like it never went without it. And FIFA is the same thing. It was the same way. I used to play FIFA constantly. Holy crap! I have a childhood. I have a broken TV because of FIFA. That game was it brought some anger out of me. But I used to play FIFA all the time. Yeah. I haven't touched it since like 2016.
Yeah.
I'm just over it. I'm so sick of it. Like, if nothing else, just the principle. Like, do something better. I know they've kind of, they add some stuff into these games, but yeah, the extended, like, put 5 years, 10 years into a game, put however much time you need to,
Yep.
into a game to make it what it needs to be. Because in the meantime, we'll play something else.
Yep. As bad as I think of a choice, the scale of Star Citizen and the procedural planets were, they're literally the mold that makes everybody who does try it really want Star Citizen to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's literally their bane of existence, because it's the reason we need server meshing. It's the reason frame rates are where they are. It's the reason NPCs won't spawn. It's like the servers. Why are the servers bad? Because of the insane amount of things that they had to put in them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
it's why mining isn't good. I can tell you that for sure. We should talk about that a little bit, actually.
Oh God, mining. Yeah, I'd love to.
Because that's my favorite thing in the world, and it's not great. But at the same time, like, man, I watched this YouTube video. This guy actually copy striked me for watching it on and putting it up on my React channel, which is hilarious. But I agreed with him like so much. He was standing on Daymar and just looking around, and like when I do that, it's like, this is the game I want. I want there to be an MMO in this. There's nothing I've ever seen that can compare to this, ever.
Yeah.
And it's just Daymar. It's literally desert. They haven't even made like the really cool stuff yet.
Yeah, there's crazy planets out there that we haven't seen, like full-on water planets with huge, massive waves. It's nuts.
Yeah. So
and it's that whole thing that people say of like Star Citizen ruins other games for them.
Yep, it literally does. And then what's funny is it actually makes bad games seem good too sometimes. Like New World, like doing the same mission over and over again, but actually progressing your armor and your weapons and getting skills. Like, it was such a like New World literally did the absolute bare minimum to be considered a video game, and it was so fun because I was playing Star Citizen 314, which was like one of the, I thought, worst experiences I've had in a while, because 315 was coming and there was loot and there was all the things that I really wanted to play, and I'm like, I don't want to play 314.
Like an inventory, so you like in New World, you're like, oh my gosh, I can store things.
Yes, exactly. Like the most simple stuff made me enjoy the game so much, and then it was like, okay, this game actually is not that good, But
is it not doing well? It's like
it's okay.
It was huge for a while and had some problems, but
I don't know. The server that we were on, there was a lot of exploits being used, and it was just they had a lot of loopholes that weren't closed, and development takes more time than I think anybody wants it to clean that stuff up, and it just I think a lot of people lost interest because of it, and it sucks. I really do like the game. I think the PvP is quite good, and would like to jump back into it at some point, but I just kind of lost my my interest in it for a while. And then Halo came out, and then Farm Sim, and
all else
other
was
games.
lost.
Yeah. So I just kind of lost my interest. But yeah, do you want to talk about mining? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, before we get back into the start, because I do want to talk about mining, I did want to ask you if you were looking at Starfield, because that is a game that I feel I don't think it's gonna take away any sort of the hype around Squadron 42. I think they're two very, very different games, but I also think they appeal to the same people. I was wondering if you had your eye on it at all.
That's the Bethesda game, right?
Yeah, and I don't think that it coming was caused by Star Citizen, but I do think that it could be a part of a movement that Star Citizen is kind of, I won't say spearheading, but taking a large part in, just the resurgence of big space games.
Oh, dude, I think they spearheaded, definitely. Because I remember the whole point of the Kickstarter was Chris going, like, yo, people are still interested in sci-fi games. And like, just to prove to investors that it was. And then we ended up being the investors, I guess, in a way. But I have not followed it very much, so I'll tell you that. I just know it's a space-themed game from Bethesda. That is as far as I know. Anything you want to share about it that you think is really cool, I'd love to hear it.
I think, to be honest, I think the biggest thing to take away from it is the knee jerk reaction to this game every single time you mention it
Mm-hmm.
will be Bethesda sucks. Like they've had a bad last 5 years. Fallout 76 wasn't great. Fallout 4 wasn't as good as their previous years. They keep releasing Skyrim. All of these are valid criticisms.
Sure.
But Bethesda's also a super talented company with a ton of people who just got bought by the biggest, most important, not most important, one of the most important gaming corporations in the world,
Yeah.
and is releasing a game that is clearly a staple in the Microsoft lineup. Like
Does
they
it have a release
closed,
date?
I think November 11th of next year. I
2022.
think they want to do like early mid-November of next year, but it'll
Christmas
probably slip.
2022. So they think it's going to be a big game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They closed their E3 conference with it. I think they
Yeah.
closed it or opened it. But like they're putting this up there at the same levels of marketing as Halo.
Yeah.
So I don't think Microsoft is going to do all of that, buy this company, put in all this time with this huge grand plan they've been running for the last 5 years, and then just let the game flop because of Bethesda's normal bugginess.
Yeah.
They've been talking about going back to their roots with things like Morrowind and Oblivion. They've been talking about restructuring their games to focus more on the experience and less on the multiplayer. I think there's something here. I think it could be a really good game, especially for people who are into Star Citizen.
Yeah, definitely. And it doesn't have to be like, I think people are immediately gonna go like Star Citizen Killer. They're gonna say dumb stuff like that when it's like they can be two totally different games. It's gonna be a single player experience, right? Like a Fallout.
It's an
play
RPG.
through it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that can't possibly be an MMO killer. It just doesn't. They're not the same. But yeah, I mean, I would be super interested. The only thing is I thought I would have jumped on, what was it called? The Outer Wilds.
Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds,
yeah.
Yeah, because that sounds similar. Somebody mentioned it in chat earlier, too. It was, because it sounds something similar to like a Fallout type space game, but I never jumped in it, and I'd still like to. So,
it's a cool game. It's definitely a lot smaller scale than something like Starfield would be, I think. It's one of those RPGs that's like a hub world RPG. Like you go to different hubs and you kind of like you have the little town and the wilds around it. But it's a scaled down game. I would almost call it a AA game coming from Obsidian, like a proof of concept.
Okay.
But it was cool. I would definitely check it out for like the character development, the story, the gameplay.
Yeah. I think so. One of the developers is here. He works at Bethesda. He used to work at Star Citizen. I wonder if he is working on that game. He's in chat right now, but I don't know.
Oh.
I know he works there, but I don't know if he works on what game he works on. Maybe he'll say it in chat. But
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, there's I think that you're 100% right. Like I think with Star Citizen's like success, which he works on ESO. Okay. I first off, I don't think Star Citizen's successful. Do you find that weird? Like $400 million it is a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money over 10 years.
No, definitely not.
So I actually don't consider Star Citizen like a success in a way. It is successful. I think they showed that like, hey, there's this interest in games like this. There's still interest in this. These people are willing to give their hard-earned money for something, even if with the experience that they have now, because of the crowdfunding model, whatever they're doing, the marketing, whatever they're doing, they're having some success. But if you look, like I always bring up Valheim. Like Valheim made as much, if not more money than Star Citizen in like a month.
Was it a month?
They had 5 million users in a month.
Gosh.
At like $30.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. It's like it's successful in the sense that they definitely found a business model that works and like an idea that vibes and everything.
Yeah.
But in terms of overall success in the gaming area, like you look at Activision Blizzard, who just I think put away $3 billion or something in a year. And you're like, people are like, they'll never bring Star Citizen out because it makes too much money like this. And
exactly.
I'm like, have you seen how much money that some of these released games make?
Yeah, like I'm not trying to say this in a negative way. I'm trying to kind of contradict that stupid statement that people make. Like Star Citizen makes too much money. They literally don't make enough.
Yeah.
And like that,
yeah,
that's
they don't pay that well from what I mean. In some instances, the pay is not considered great for the. This is hearsay, so I don't actually know, and I don't want to put out that kind of news and have people saying that about Star Citizen. But I have heard that the pay is not as well as it, or is not as good as it could be.
Yeah, and I've heard that as well. And then on top of that, I also saw a tweet yesterday, which was like, I am a character animator, blah, blah, something, and I make $35 an hour. And I was like, what? Like, if they heard how much money I make an hour, not needing a degree, just dealing poker, they would lose their, like, people would lose their mind. It's, so I just think that, in general, the gaming industry does not pay how it should, period.
Oh, yeah. It's not taken seriously enough.
Yeah.
It really isn't. Like, people still consider games to just be some, like, little
kid stuff.
Hobbies. Yeah. No. These are businesses. Like, people are making full-on franchises out of these things. People need to get paid more for their work.
Yeah. Agreed. Because, like, the talent, like, you look at Star Citizen, the talent of the artists and the animations and the worlds and all this stuff that these guys created, I hope they're getting paid. I really do. I don't know. Same. I will never ask, because I don't know how you feel. We have talked about money a little bit. I don't pay attention to that stuff with Star Citizen at all. No. The only thing I focus on is the player experience. That's it. It's all I care about.
I touch on it briefly. I put out a video about CCUs earlier this year, but that was about, and then I have one more video actually that I'm writing right now that talks a little bit about buying ships, but yeah, I don't really touch on that too often.
Yeah, I'm gonna touch on the paints. I think I'm actually gonna make a video about paints.
That's all. I think that I was talking to the Astropub and Executed Info Runners recently, and we were all kind of talking about, like, we all have something to say about some of the stuff we've seen in terms of, like, the marketing and sales recently that we'd like to talk more about. So, like, you know, if you ever want to put a video out and have me on it, or just have another episode like this where we talk about or anything like that, I'd be happy to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it would be cool. The one thing that I like, you kind of point out, that I'd like to see more of is the community come together and try. There's things that you obviously cannot like about the experience, and we have to come together and hold CIG accountable about some things. And it's not that we want them to fail. It's not that we want them to not make less money. It's none of that. We just want them to do better. I don't know how you feel, but I'm trying to think of this experience that I had. Oh, okay. I'll give I think this is what it was. Inventories come in, right? This is the best example I can give. I think the most rewarding experience for me personally, and I think for a lot of others it would be as well. You are chasing a bounty hunter. You're chasing a bounty, you're a bounty hunter. He is in a bunker. You kill him. Do you know what the game automatically does? It shows
him where the corpse was?
It sends his corpse to prison with all of his loot. You chased this guy and killed him. When he gets out of prison, he comes out with the loot. Like, the most obvious thing to... Like, when I kill a player, I need to be able to loot that person. If they Alt F4, their body disappears. So, there's things that, like, I understand the game is buggy. I understand we're in alpha. But when you bring in an experience, I expect more from a company like CIG, who continuously says that they're doing things better, they're doing things different, and they're trying, you know, the best damn space sim ever quotes, like that kind of stuff. It can't just be bullshit. It's got to be realized in the experiences that you have. I expect bugs. These are quote unquote bugs. These were oversights, not really bugs, right?
Right. So you're saying when you kill somebody, their body doesn't persist?
If you're chasing them as a bounty, so you send them to prison, the game actually pulls them out of the world. Yeah. Yeah. That's messy. And then if they Alt F4, the game pulls them out of the world. But they are definitely, I've very much expressed my opinion about that to the devs, and they have very much heard that one. I don't know what the solution is for it, but they have very much heard that. And it wasn't the dev that I spoke to, it wasn't his team that had to deal with that, but they forwarded it to whoever, and I don't know what'll happen, but it's like one of the most rewarding experiences in an MMO or in a PvP game is kill the player, and you can choose whether or not to teabag. That is your choice. But then after the teabag, if you loot the player, that's the most rewarding experience, you know? And that's the thing is I took a bounty. Okay, check this out. This is one of the craziest things ever. I took a bounty. Somebody suggested get a grenade launcher in case there's more people. And I was like, okay. So I see one guy, grenade launch. Then another one pops out. I switch guns, shoot him. Another one pops out, kill him. Another one pops out, kill him. The bounty was sent Alt F forward. I failed the mission.
Oh my gosh.
His body's gone. Then randomly, because every 10 minutes at a security post, the NPC security guards spawn. They come out. I'm not supposed to be there because I'm a bounty hunter and I'm not actually on a mission. They start shooting me. I shoot them, get a crime stat. Somebody else comes down, takes my bounty, and kills me before I could get out with any of the loot. And they were all wearing the badass new Hurston armor. So I could have had 4 sets of the badass Hurston armor. And yeah, and then on top of that, the icing with the cherry on top, the guy who killed me comes to my channel, immediately posted the video on YouTube within 15 seconds somehow, and was like, do you want to see me killing you? And I was just like, God, no, I don't.
It was a conspiracy.
All at the same time, like, this is why I love this game, and I think this game is going to be so good. All at the same time, like, literally the best possible experience ever. And the worst possible experience ever all at the same time.
Yeah.
So
like that's the Emergent gameplay, and it's completely just not. It's all against you.
A 4v1 or 5v1 full wipe, and boom,
dude.
Yeah.
It's Can I just say real quick? By the way, I was going to say earlier. The teabagging is the best part.
Okay.
True. As a strong Halo 2 and 3 player, I will say the teabagging always needs to be a thing.
Have you played Star Marine when when you killed somebody, sometimes the gun would continue to fire? Do you remember seeing that bug?
Yeah.
I killed a guy, teabagged him, and his gun that was firing on the ground killed me.
Oh my gosh.
It was one of the funniest clips I ever had.
There is such a bad bug like that where right now, because I was doing a lot of testing of the medical system, so I'd shoot my party member, and then I would need to heal them immediately, so I'd shoot them, and then I'd pull out the medical tool, and I'd heal them, and the medical tool would shoot bullets at them.
Yes, that happened. I killed my partner doing that. I was like, all right, let me heal you real quick, and I just shot him in the head, and I was like, no, that's not what I was trying to do.
Yeah,
that was funny. Yep, there's those kind of bugs I could deal with. Like, those are just like bugs. They'll fix them. It's okay. It's the oversights. And I think I don't know, like, I think we could touch on this again about the Raft in a way is I expect at this point now, and I will hold steadfast to this, and I don't care what anyone thinks about me about it, is I expect a lot more from these guys from this point forward. 3.15 on, because 3.15 is the first patch I looked at them and go, they are actually trying to make the game now, and less like they started making the worlds. And the worlds are amazing, but it's now time. And I see the shift happening, and it's now time to go, okay, the player's experience will have bugs, but the underlying design decisions have to be good. And so far it's still kind of messy, but I'm waiting for I won't make those decisions or those criticisms until post server meshing.
Okay.
At least static server meshing, because we all know that they're kind of not wanting to do much work until they don't have to redo work as often.
Yeah. I feel like I am right where I wish we were like May of last year. I'm trying to
Yeah.
think. April of last year. There was a time last year when we got an episode of Star Citizen Live, and they were like all about salvage. This is what salvage is going to be. And
Yeah.
then they came out and they talked about it, and everything that they said, you were just like, oh my god, they haven't even started.
Yep.
Are you serious? So I wish, because now they come out and they do talk about salvage again now, and like they're talking about, oh yeah, this is how it's going to work, and it's going to do this, and we've got this ship plan and this FPS version. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is where I wish we were then. Like
Yes.
2021 feels like a year that we're going to look back on in the future and be like, this is where it changed.
This was the
At least
shift. Yeah.
after the other 3 big ones in the last 10 years.
Yeah. I think there's like, dude, 2020 was 2020. Like, I don't care what anybody says, especially them saying that it didn't affect them that much. I don't care what they say. It affected them. Sitting in your living room is different than being in the office and working and getting work done. There's no doubt that something was slowed down, right? It is what it is. For me, I look at this year as what last year probably should have been, and the shift is something I'm super keen on, super excited about, and I hope it continues. Like, to see that as simple as the box delivery changed with a little bit of rep in it and no rewards it is still shifting in the direction that I really want to see it go, and that's exciting.
My philosophy is always going to be, if another game comes and it's better than this, then I'll switch. I don't really care. Like, if Starfield comes out next year and it is more gripping in how it does space exploration and gameplay, I'll switch. Star Citizen doesn't hold me because of the name. Like, I just want to play a freaking cool space game.
Sure. Are you gonna keep making Star Citizen content though?
Yeah,
of course,
it is
right?
a cool space game. So I'll continue with it, and like, I want to expand to other space games as well. It's just that Star Citizen is the most interesting right now. It just sucks that it's constantly in development.
Well, it sucks that the interesting aspect of it is its development in a way. I think, instead of the actual player experience, and that's where I hope
the new
like
features.
315 is changing that. That's what I hope. 315 is the beginning of the snowball at the top of a microtech mountain, and will eventually be a massive, boulder or something.
I like that we got some basic functions like an inventory and a medical system.
Exactly.
But let's talk about the mining. I'd like to hear what, because I know you talked to others about mining, and you've done some polls I've seen and stuff like that. I'd like to hear what you're kind of hearing about that.
Okay. So first off, you've done a lot of mining. I've done a lot of mining, and I think mining is entirely too easy. It's way too easy. So I think when they originally put it out, it was like one mining laser. It was actually quite difficult, and they were like, let's add these cool things like the modules and different lasers. Cool. I thought that was sweet. And then it got to a point where you would put a Lancet laser on and use a Surge and a couple of other components, and then it would be incredibly too easy, because if the Lancet laser just is too good and doesn't have any real negatives to it other than its power, but its power is still a little too high. So anyway, they post this video on ISC about how mining is just too difficult solo with, and I was just like, what are you talking about? And we need to put in these gadgets to make it easier. And I'm like, first off, no. Second, you and I echoed the same opinion, is the mining gadgets do the exact same things that the modules do, that the lasers do, and it's just kind of like boring, right? It's no you added no different functionality to the game, but you're kind of highlighting that it is. And I spoke to the devs specifically and provided them an immense amount of feedback, like just like post this long, and I talked to the specific developer that determines the distribution of harvestables, minables, all of it. And I talked to him about that. You are the difference maker with mining. The mining experience, the act of mining, I think, is one of the better ones in all of video games, because it's one of the only games that you aren't pressing F and then you wait for your character to finish
just
mining,
watching.
and then collect.
Yeah.
You're active. So there's not too many issues with that, but there are issues with that, obviously. But they're not as bad as the distribution of the ores, and the types of ores, and the sizes of them, and all that. And I talked to them about, I asked them specifically a couple questions, and I said it in my Twitch chat, his boss was there when I asked him, and I assume he went back and forth to make sure it was okay to share publicly. I asked, is there anything preventing you from making a rock 100,000 mass? And it requiring many lasers to break? No. Is there anything preventing you from making a massive field of rocks that are the same types that we have now, but you need to continue coming back to this place to finish out mining it?
Exactly what we need.
Yes, there are some restrictions. So if you were to do that, then you would find them less often, right? Because there's only so many entities that they can have on the planets, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And then they said that we're not going to see any changes. Like, they prototyped some stuff, or they were going to prototype some stuff, but we won't see any changes until Pyro, basically. So that's where that stands, unfortunately. But then we see these guys working on the mining gadgets, and you're like, bro, we clearly could have done something then. But it's yeah.
Mining gadgets feels like a tier 1.5 kind of thing. Like, it feels almost like they got the idea along with consumables, and they were supposed to come with consumables, but then they got delayed, and they were like, well, we already worked on them. Let's just put them in. Because, it does build out the profession, and it does build out, like, it's not necessarily a negative addition. It's just not really that positive, I feel.
Exactly.
Like, being able to put the gadgets on the rock and then actually change the rock itself in some way. Like, my first example was, how cool would it be if the rocks that were mineable were like the asteroids that weren't, and that they were like tumbling through space. And one of the gadgets that you put on was like a thruster module that just got it to stop turning so you could concentrate your laser in the same place. Something as, like, I imagine that's very hard to do in the game. I'm not going to say that's simple, but those kinds of different ways of doing things are what I want to see more of. I don't want to see more of the same ways of doing things,
Yeah. Now, this comes down to the same statement I think I made earlier, and it's the wait till after server meshing hellhole that we're in. And that's why I try, like, I get the same feelings as you, but I try to remind myself sometimes, and I don't remind myself enough. I wonder if that's all that's holding us back for a lot of these things. Because when you say simple, I agree. It's simple to have the idea, and I wonder...
Yeah, the idea.
Just the idea. Obviously, the implementation isn't, right? But I imagine they've had the same ideas that we have. I imagine they've thought about the same things that we have. But they don't implement them because they don't want to yet, or they can't yet, or whatever reasons. And it's just like, this I feel like this one thing is just holding us all back, and has been for years, and it's very, 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 very frustrating. So when I look at this, I can't think of the right word, but you said it pretty good, like neutral update, basically, where it wasn't positive, it wasn't negative. It was just like, okay, we have mining lasers, we have mining consumables, we have mining modules that aren't consumable, and now we have this gadget that you place on. None of them do what we want them to do, but they exist in the game, and we have the ability to change variables and add variables. Therefore, mining is done. The only thing I'm putting words in their mouth. Okay? I don't agree with this. The only thing that I massively take issue with is that they feel that multi-crew mining is done, and that it is non-existent. Have you, like you said, you do a lot of mining, you do whatever chat does. When you went mining, would you often go out in like the mole and try mining with your friends and stuff?
When I go out in the mole, I literally get out of the pilot seat and stand at the window and get cool shots of the other people using the lasers, because I don't have to do anything.
Dude, it's okay, so you never need more than 2 lasers ever. You really never need more than 1. The third is completely pointless. So the the whole rock platform, which I think is like the coolest ship in the game, it has 0 point. So the whole, the mole, sorry, not the rock, has 0 point in the game because they haven't introduced the need for multi-crew. So they haven't introduced the need for the larger cargo hold. They haven't introduced the need for multiple lasers. And the only suggestion I will ever make as like, I'm a game developer and I should do it this way and you don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Game Developer, that I think is like, because a lot of people tell them how to do their job and that's not the right kind of feedback to give. It should just be, this is fun, this is why, this isn't fun, this is why. And that's like the best thing you can do for a developer, apparently, is this. Mining lasers need to scale their buffs and debuffs based off of the amount of power you're introducing into the laser. So a mining laser like a Helix is really powerful, right? So you don't get the insane qualities out of it unless you're using it at full power. But then you also get the negatives. And sorry, Twitch chat, I know you guys are seeing some weird stuff. Okay. It's bad internet problems, so it happens from time to time. They're familiar with this, so they just spam that to let me know what's going on. The
Peepo trip.
Yeah, because that's what it looks like. It looks like you're high on acid, apparently, or something. The Lancet laser is one that like I'd like to see them lower the power completely, and then you only gain it if you, I don't know, like, I think it should be scaled. So the player who's actually in the laser, you're constantly moving up and down, and you're gaining negatives and positives based off of how much power you're putting in. And I think that that would be way more tactile, way more Star Citizen-like, because I don't know how you've ever done it, but multi-crew mining, I would go, okay, teammate, take your Lancet laser, click on the rock, put no power in. Okay, other teammate, click your Lancet laser, click on the rock, put no power in. I'll raise it into the giant green zone that is the size of the entire bar. Like, you could do that, right? If they both hit optimum, you don't even have to put power into any lasers. Yeah. And it'll finish mining. It's insanely broken. So
that's actually, that would be a really cool idea. Because then they could start to include things that would lower your power output. Because like you want to get those benefits, but you don't want all the power. I like that.
Yep.
That'd be a nice change.
I think it would force you to use your brain a little bit, and I think it's just brainless right now, and it would also force you to use your teammates. And that's really what I think that they can change right now. I don't expect them to change the rocks. I don't expect them to change the distribution yet, but I do expect them to maybe make a change to the way the lasers work, because I think that is the inherent flaw with mining, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. And I hope that there is still much to be done on mining, because like they'll say it's done, but like you were saying, and like we've seen in the ads and the concept images and marketing, mining out like persistent veins of ore is so much better than oh dude, Peepo trip. It's so much better than doing than doing just finding a boulder floating in space, you know? That kind of stuff, definitely. Yeah, I hope they're not quite close to finished.
Yeah, somebody in chat said just get rid of the surge. That could be a thing. That could work. But it's I think it's deeper than just that one component. So, yeah.
It's fair.
But yeah, I don't know. Since the internet isn't doing that great, and we're coming up to about the time of when we would end anyway, but it is a podcast, so it's not that big of a deal. We have one caller on the line. If you guys can hear us, which I'm assuming you still can, you just can't see us that well. If anybody else wants to get in, I think I would take one other caller probably today, and then we'll probably head out. So this is, I think, one of the more unique things about this podcast is that we usually don't bring on content creators like yourself, because not everybody has this amazing platform that we get to have sometimes to share our opinions. So I like to bring on just regular people from the community who tend not to have one more often than anything.
Hmm.
And I still like to integrate that into shows when I do bring in awesome people like yourself. That
I think that's cool, man.
yeah, so we do like have them come on and say what's up, and if they have anything they want to add to any of the conversations that we had. So with that, I'm gonna bring on Zane, and we will see what he has to say.
Cool.
All right, and I put him in the next in line. I didn't put him in the right place. I moved the whole channel. There we go. Hey Zane, can you hear us?
Hear me? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I do.
Awesome. So, yeah, what do you want to share? We talked about a lot of things today, so anything for
Yeah, I missed
Space
like
Tomato?
yeah, I missed like half the podcast because I had some stuff to do IRL. But
Unacceptable.
uh, yeah, I know. I will rewatch it on YouTube.
But yeah,
But
what do you want to talk about?
yeah, like I had a couple things I wanted to touch on about what you just said in the past like 30 minutes.
Okay.
I barely play Star Citizen because there is barely anything to play right now.
Yeah.
In the current state of the game. But recently there was the free flight, so I asked my mates, hey, do you guys want to try Star Citizen?
Uh-oh.
And we jumped in 3.15.1, which I mean my expectations were low because I watch a lot of streams and I play alone from time to time, but this patch is really bad. I mean,
I'm really upset with the
they
.1.
they kind of liked it. I didn't expect them to like the game so much, to be honest,
Okay.
because I was so frustrated with it. I'm like in the past days, I wasn't able to even watch streams other than yours because your streams are very particular with the rants, so they are
Okay.
cathartic.
A certain flavor.
Yeah, they are cathartic because you go on Spectrum, you go on Reddit, and everything seems fine. Then you go on SaltEMike stream and you say, oh, "Okay, I'm not crazy. There is someone else who thinks like me."
Okay.
But yeah, I was really pissed. I'm impressed. My friends who don't like the game, like they don't support it, they have their doubts, rightfully so.
Sure.
They enjoyed it more than I do. But yeah, for me, 3.15 it is the patch where, and this is like what I don't agree with you. It's the patch where I really am started to get worried about the game.
Why?
Because the two major additions this patch had, inventory and medical system, in my opinion, are flawed to the core.
Okay.
And inventory for me was something that's really important. I've been waiting for it for years, and it's something I really wanted to see how CIG would do it in the game. Like if they would allow us to do full looting, drop items, because usually MMOs are limited in this aspect.
Yes.
Like everybody has its own word. Their items are locked to the character. And the inventory, dude, it's so bad. I think it's the worst inventory in gaming.
Ooh.
And it's not
It is
it's not
really
a meme.
bad.
It is the worst inventory I ever seen in any game. Like maybe on Steam there is some Russian game from one dude in early access that has worse inventory.
Bad Rats has a worse inventory than Star Citizen, but that's about it.
Some Russian guy.
but from a company with all this all the money they have and the developers they have, the products is just, and you cannot even say, oh, but it's built on legacy tech. No, the whole inventory is based on tech that CIG has developed in the last 2-3 years. Building
Okay,
blocks,
Zane, let me pause you. Let me pause you for a second, because I'll quote somebody from chat.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, but why? Why is it bad? Because this is the most important thing. We can't just go off on rants going, it is so bad, it is so bad, it is so bad. We gotta say why, so they learn how to do better. I specifically said, as soon as I saw this on ISC the first time, you have a third-person camera as your UI. Are you brain dead? And I was just like, this can't be a thing. And they continued and allowed it to be a thing. Other than that, Zane, why?
I'm gonna tell you why, but I'm gonna say a little story. I was in shot when you watched that ISC,
Yeah,
and you said, "No way, third-person inventory."
makes no sense.
I was like, I even wrote it in chat. I was like, "No, Mike, I think it's third person because they are testing it, and since when you
Nope.
take into your hands the item, there is the animation, the box. Maybe they are debugging it, and it's
Nope.
third person because they want to see if the animation works properly. There is no way the inventory is in third person." Then 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, another ISC, third person inventory, and I'm
Yep.
like, "Oh shit, dude, this game is never going to be good." And that is
The whole
my
game
main
is never
complaint.
going to be good because of the ISC.
Yeah, because
No third
like,
person.
because like, uh, I mean, Star Citizen is trying to be like the greatest game ever with features that no other game has ever built, and they can't even get the inventory right, the feature that has been iterated upon for years, and there is like 20 types of inventory that works, and they could have just copied them, but no, they said, "Hey guys, let's reinvent the wheel, but let's make it a square." Because I mean, every wheel is a circle. We can't copy that. We have to do something innovative. But doing so, they did something that's worse than everything else. And like my main complaint is third person inventory. Like that makes no
Okay.
sense.
Yeah.
First of all, it gives you contextual awareness, which you shouldn't have while looting.
Yes.
It is clunky as fuck to use because if you are in a tight spot, you have
you
to
see is a
adjust the
wall.
camera. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that does suck.
And it could even be used to cheat because you can see through walls. So there is even a possibility for glitching the camera and obtaining information you shouldn't have.
Yeah.
It works terribly in dark environments because you can see your character in a game where we have day-night cycle and we have caves, which are both tight and dark spots. It's a terrible design idea, in my opinion. Interacting directly with your character is clunky as fuck. I mean, for the clothes, I can give it a pass, but for med pens, weapons, weapon attachments, it's just terrible to use.
I thought it's gotten
Then there is,
better. I thought they fixed a lot of those problems. I think it's gotten a lot better. Like you
it
just
has
put
gotten
everything to the
better
number and
since
you're good. Boom, 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 boom. Everything goes on. I don't think there's much of an
yes,
issue with that. But
not really, and I'm gonna tell you why. First, yes, the numbers are an improvement, but they're still not enough. First of all, with the number, you can't really tell where that item is gonna be. Yes, you can see it on the preview on the character, but you have to see it.
okay.
And the numbers only work when you equip the item in the first place. But if you have to unequip them, there are no numbers at all.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
These you said that the inventory system had problems at the core, but I feel like these are all things that they could pretty easily change.
Yeah.
Not really, because the things that they could improve upon, and which um, I don't really mind, is like it's slow to use. Everything takes ages to load. Those are optimization which can come down the road, or the fact that like a container can only be looted by one player at once. These things, like they are the base design of the inventory, which has to be changed in order to make it better. So essentially, they should say, okay, we just did this, like the third-person camera thing. Okay, we should get rid of it. The slots and the way you equip the consumables like med pens and the magazines, like they should redo that completely. So there are a lot of things that they should redo, and in the process, they should basically rebuild the inventory from scratch.
You know, I
Because
originally
they should make it first person. They should make, if they want to have the character, it shouldn't be the actual in-game character, but render to texture
Paper doll.
representation of it, like
Yeah.
Daisy does. Exactly. They should have, like every armor piece has its own box where you can put the items in. There should have slots near the bigger box where you put the items that only allow you to equip the med pens. I don't know if you played Daisy recently, but Daisy has this exact system. There is these slots where you put the items, and it's like the
Tarkov as well.
storage. And then not really Tarko. I don't know if it changed in the last patches. I haven't played Tarko in a year, but like the way Tarko does it is that you have your the vest and
Oh, just size. Yeah.
yeah. No,
Okay.
what Daisy does is that there is literally a slot, and on that slot there is like an icon of a grenade, and you can only put a grenade there, and that grenade will show on your character, right? So I think they should do it something similar with the, for example, armor piece, core armor piece, the chest. There are slots where you can equip on them only, let's say, magazines or med pens. And when you open the inventory, you see those items on the character, but you also see them on the UI. So that if you want to switch, like let's say you want to, you have maybe 3 mags, you can see that 2 mags are full, one is half empty, and you can take the half empty one, put it in the storage, or add ammo into it. And all of these also goes when you're looting another player, because right now, not only like managing your own inventory is a terrible experience, looting is even worse. Because if you want to loot anything, there are like 3 ways to loot. There is the inventory way, there is the inward way, and there is the weird approach, which is mostly like for weapons, that you have to take the item in your hand, open your inventory, and then use the inventory to maybe take off the mag or some attachments from that weapon.
Yeah.
Then put it in your storage, then equip your weapon and put those items on. It's really terrible. It's like everything that the other inventories do in one step, there are 3 steps in SC inventory.
Okay. Well,
And all
here's
these,
the deal. You gotta let SpaceTomato's trying to jump in a couple times with you, and he
Sure,
hasn't had an opportunity.
no problem.
So let him jump in.
I was just gonna say you were saying that they need to rehaul the system, but they are going to. I was actually thinking the same thing that you were for longer than I hate to say. I was literally like, why in the world did you guys give us a third person camera when the whole game has been based on diegetic interfaces and things
Yeah.
like that? But then I realized when physical inventory is going to be in the game, we don't even need an interface for our inventory because we'll have the asset manager, which is knickknacks, which will track everything. But if we're moving things in and out of crates, we don't use, I'm assuming we're not going to be using that window, right? We would be literally just pressing the inner thought button to put it in there. I guess we would need to have some sort of a notification of how full it is and stuff like that. But I was thinking that this interface at some point is going to be pretty useless. No?
Not really. And this is something that I think a lot of people, there is this misconception that physical inventory is going to change everything about the inventory, how it works, and that this system is just a temporary solution. No, this system is the inventory we're going to use for most of the player looting management. Physical inventories, it's mostly about like it basically changes 2 aspects of the current inventory. First of all, instead, like let's say you enter in your ship right now, you press I and you see the ship inventory and it's this huge storage. Physical inventory is going to change that. So instead of being like an area where you open the inventory and you have access, there are cabinets, there are containers inside your ships. So maybe your ships may have 4 boxes with each one its own storage, and you go there, you open it with the inner thought, and then you interact with it. And the other aspect is that some containers, like specific ones, like ammo, the the weapon racks or the like the ones for clothes. I don't remember the word right now.
Lockers.
Lockers?
The lockers, exactly. When you interact with them, they are gonna show in the word the actual item. So the weapon rack will show the weapon attached to it.
But when you
all the
interact with
other-
them, you'll still get the same UI or a more polished version of the UI that we currently have
Yes.
now. Okay.
Yes.
That's fine. But here's where I tend to disagree with you a little bit, as it is like the world is crumbling as much as you feel it is, and I just don't think it is the fact that I look at it first from this perspective. Holy crap, they put in looting, it's full loot. They're doing things, they're actually doing it, okay? The thing that I absolutely hated was the first ISC came out and they adamantly said, we are not taking feedback on this at this time. The first PTU came out, we are not taking feedback on this at this time. Something like that. Maybe that was an Evocati if I leaked, whatever. Sorry, CIG. But they were not taking feedback on it. They did not want to hear what Zane, you had to say. They didn't want to hear what I had to say. Tomato, they didn't want to hear what you had to say about that kind of stuff just yet. They're actively taking feedback on those things now. And until we go, holy crap, the sky is falling, let's see what they do in the next little bit. Because I agree with you. It's a terrible experience, but there's so many things that it's like, I don't think that they can't possibly make a paper doll. I don't think that they can't possibly change what's there. I think that I'm a little disappointed, and this is where I go back to my previous statements. You gotta do better with your tier 0 implementations. Your tier 0s cannot be tier 0s from Star Citizen 2.0. That's not acceptable anymore. They need to be tier 0s from Star Citizen 3.15 now, not even 3.0. The tier 0s need to look different. They could still be tier 0, they could still be limited functionality, they could still require more tech for the future, but they have to come in with more polish, especially for things like inventory and looting, which you had planned for 3.14 and you delayed because they needed a little bit more polish. So you say bullshit like that and then come out with a feature that is this unpolished. I get where you're coming from, Zane. I get where your negativity comes from. I know you and I feel very much the same, but at the same time, we're looking at it from a little bit different perspectives. I said it should look like Tarkov. I said it should look like DayZ. I brought those videos up and said this is the difference, and this is why I think the current system is not good. But the fact that they put it in the game in the first place and are hopefully going to iterate on it is the most positive thing about the entire thing.
I disagree, because I mean, we are, I mean, the whole system is so, at least in my opinion, like, it's so bad.
It is. There's no one.
I mean,
no one's disagreeing
if
about
it was
that.
just if it was just slow to use, because I mean the servers or whatever, I would have been fine with it, because it was about optimization. But there are just so many things about the design itself that are so wrong that, I mean, if CIG said, "Hey guys, we can do a paper doll right now, so for the moment it's third person," I would have still been worried, because I would be like, "Guys, it's 9 years. Is it possible that every time you have to do something, there is always some tech issue? Like, it's always, oh, we need this new tech. Oh, we need this new tech here and there. Like, this is not some crazy server meshing thing. Quantum.
It's something that's in every other game.
It's an inventory. Like, I think even Flash could have made a better inventory. There are games that ship with Flash and have a decent UI. There is no way. Like, DayZ was based on the Arma 2 engine. Not even Arma 2 engine, was based on the Take on helicopters, which was similar to Arma 2 engine. And in the first standalone, it had a better inventory system built on the Arma UI engine, which is really terrible, because I used to mod Arma, and that system is so bad. How is it possible that these guys...
Hold on. Because you're going back to the same points you've already made. So it's I get it, okay? But I think what we need to be more upset about is the fact that they're not taking feedback during the Evo Kadi and PTU cycles necessarily on these features, and resolving those issues for the live releases, rather than going, because here's what they're doing. They put this in 3.15. They've gathered feedback all through 3.15 and 3.15.1, and we don't know what they're going to do with it. And Zane, they've literally said nothing about anything related to this in the near future. So we don't have any clue. So right now you're like the old man yelling at cloud memes, because we don't know what's happening, right? Like, again, I'm not trying to stand here and defend anybody, or because your points are valid and real and true, but it's at the same time, I think I want to see what they do with our feedback before I freak out. And if they don't, I will freak out, because it is not a good, it's not acceptable. It doesn't meet the standards that they give for themselves, and it doesn't meet the standards that I give for them. But until then, I just don't think it's appropriate to come at it from your point of view, although I respect your point of view. You see what I'm saying?
No, I absolutely agree with you, but at the same time, like, I think communication is a huge problem. I said it even, I don't know, like last time I was on this podcast, I think. But at the same time, I think most of the issues the inventory has shouldn't have been a thing in the first place at all. And there should have, like, I'm fine with giving feedback if it's like for basic stuff, like, oh guys, it would be cool if we had shift or right click to automatically loot the item. But I shouldn't have to criticize like literally every aspect of the inventory, because at that point, and this goes back to what you said previously,
they should just know better.
The gamer, the players shouldn't tell them how to fix it. And I agree, because I used to work in modding, and a lot of the time the players have so many shitty ideas. Like, you have no idea how much shit they propose to us, and they even, like, in their mind it was the greatest idea ever, and we were like, oh my god, where are these guys coming from? So I understand CIG developers, but at the same time, if you release such a bad product, I can't trust you anymore. I can trust that you will make something better.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that is where I feel like I need to step in.
Yeah, I have the same feelings about general gameplay experiences in Star Citizen. I don't think that they've given any reason to trust that they can make an amazing video game experience yet, because they haven't proven that they can. But I'm hoping that they do, and I'll leave it at that. But Zane, it is getting, we're going much longer than I expected to today. I have a Formula 1 race I want to watch in 25 minutes. So,
man, it's so boring. F1 is so boring. How can you watch that?
Oh my god, you gotta go now. Now we're definitely collar dumping you. But all right, Zane, dude, again, I really appreciate your opinions, and thank you so much. And I hope that we get a better UI and a better looting experience. 3.16, 3.17 soon, something, I don't know. Hopefully soon, but be good, brother.
Well, thank you for having me. Bye,
anytime. Mike. Thank you for being on. All right. So that was Zane. I tried like I think he's a bit sky is falling, but at the same time, points are valid.
I mean, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Like there's a freaking ton going on. It's if you find something that, like, there are a lot of things in this game that are not as good as they could be.
Yeah.
And if those things really matter to you, then it can definitely be annoying. Like, I love exploration, and they're doing basically nothing to help exploration gameplay.
Yep.
It kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So I get it.
I think you might get your first little tidbits though in 3.16. The little derelict ships and the mines, laser trip mines.
Yeah, and the fact that the scanning and ping stuff actually works now is kind of cool. I think what's really going to do is when we can save locations or coordinates. That's what I'm waiting
sell
for.
That stuff. That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the inventory system, to me, like I said, I'm somebody who hasn't played an MMO, so I don't know what like the gold standard for inventories is. I always ask people point to different games, Rust, DayZ, Tarkov. Like, I hear generally the same names. The biggest inventory I ever. Yeah, yeah. The biggest inventory I
Super
ever knew
fast.
was like I don't know, RPGs, Mass Effect. Like you're
Yeah.
over encumbered, put some stuff away. Okay, whatever. So this RPG, this basic stuff that they've put in, besides the absolute dog crap performance of it that I hate, hasn't bugged me too much. I do like the idea of it being space based, like some people talk about, instead of being slot based, which they've talked about. But for me, the inventory system is kind of it's definitely a major part of the game, but it's more of a means to an end for me. I don't think I can speak that passionately towards it, which is why I kind of stayed mostly silent
It's
there.
everything to me. It's literally everything.
Yeah.
And
I
it is
hope that they do
frustrating.
it well.
Yeah.
And I'd hope that the people who know inventories better are able to get that feedback in to help them do it well, because like that's something that could really, I imagine, make or break the game. I hope
Yeah.
it's good.
You could hear it's literally breaking the game for Zane, right? And I'm
Yeah.
sure there's a lot of Zanes out there, and I'm very close to him. I'm just maybe a little bit more hopeful that once they gather the feedback, they'll action it, and that's the thing that we have to hope with them.
That's probably the hardest part is gathering the feedback.
Yep. So we'll see. But
Yeah.
Mr. Tomato, it's been an awesome
Mr.
conversation.
Mr. Salt.
It's been an awesome conversation. We'll hook up again I'll come onto your cast and we'll do it again sometime soon. But
Yeah, man.
anything that is like final thoughts, anything on your mind, and definitely where can people find you and all that stuff. Any new exciting events or anything that's coming up. You mentioned something that you wanted to do event wise in game. I feel like I saw on Twitter, right? I think that was you.
I did an event yesterday.
That's
we did
what it was.
we did like
Okay.
we did I tried to test buying and selling. I like tasked people out with going out and looting and then returning it to an officer, and we would like pay them for how much they brought back, and then we staged like a pirate attack in mid transit. It was fun. It was really
Sick.
cool.
Okay.
It's like the start of this new series of events I want to do. But I've actually been really quiet on YouTube the last few weeks, and that's because I'm working on a big restructuring of the content that I do and the way I do it. That's all coming for the new year. So like I haven't spoken much on that, but like that's all I'm thinking about now is just a lot of that stuff. So that's kind of what's going on.
Cool.
But like you said, I'm on YouTube, SpaceTomato. I'm on everything really. Like I think besides TikTok. No, I'm on TikTok. That's right. I'm on everywhere though. Like YouTube is really where I spend most of my time. And you can find me streaming on Twitch.
Do you have a schedule on Twitch that you stick to?
Kind of. Like 9 a.m. PST. I think it's 6 or 5 p.m. UTC on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. And then I've just been like randomly kind of streaming some Halo here and there.
Nice. I've been jumping into it as well. It is so addicting.
Oh God, it's fun. If you ever want to play, dude, just let me know. If anybody ever wants to play, I love. Dude,
I can't figure out how to add people or anything. I'm such a disaster in it.
Oh God,
so that's my
problem. It's really
problem.
annoying.
They're joining my fire team, but I have no idea how to add people. So I'm like, just add me on Steam, and that's the only way that I'm making it work.
We gotta add each other, dude.
I actually rage quit a stream the other day playing it though, so I was terrible. I am bad at the game.
It's not classic Halo if you're not rage quitting and teabagging.
True, and throwing controllers across the room or something like that. Like I used to do when I was a lot younger.
Talking about somebody's mom, dude. Taking me back.
But all right, man. I guess that is it. I guess we'll call it for the podcast here. So the normal stuff that we would say at the end. If you're watching on Twitch and you didn't catch the entire show, I'll be putting it up on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you can join the show and be here Sundays around 10 a.m. Eastern time on twitch.tv/SaltEMike and discord.gg/SaltEMike to join in and be like Zane and come on and talk on the show as well. So no plans for next week's show. We'll see what topic pops up with ISC and stuff because it looks like it's going to be pretty interesting. I think it was Jumptown 2 they were going to talk about and the Gravlev tech. So should be somewhat exciting, especially Jumptown 2 that I'm pretty hyped about. So
hopefully they do something good with it.
Yeah. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Follow on Twitch and everything. And we'll see you guys next week. So thank you guys.
Smash it.